Now, if Journey doesn't fire you up for a race tonight, I don't know what will. That was awesome. And we welcome you to Pocono Raceway for the General Tire Delivers 200. This is race number 10 of the ARCA Menards series. We welcome you in. I'm Jamie Little, joined by Phil Parsons and the 2015 ARCA race winner at Pocono, Trevor Bain. And Trevor, this place is very unique. It only has 3 turns. That's the only track we go to with only 3.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing, right? What turn 4? Where's it at? This track has so much uniqueness. Every corner is a little bit different, and it's easy for drivers to make mistakes. The biggest place to make a mistake is not carrying speed onto the straightaway. As you get off these corners, you've got super long straightaways. This front stretch is 700 feet longer than the back stretch at Daytona. So when you get on that thing, it's easy to overdrive turn 1, which you see has the most banking, like Trenton Speedway, an old track that you were at. Then you get to turn 2, and it's only got 8 degrees, so a little bit less. This tunnel turns very hard. And then the last corner, turn 3, not turn 4, only has 6 degrees like Milwaukee. So easy to miss the bottom down there when you don't have the banking to hold you in.
I love that. What turn 4? And now, Phil, when you look at the points, we've got ourselves a battle here. 8 points separate the top 3. Does that continue tonight?
I think we have a good chance. These 3 drivers at Daytona, we said it's going to be a 3-horse race, and they have not disappointed. There's our point leader right there, Rajah Caruth. Great season so far. Hasn't got to victory lane. Been knocking on the door. Had a runner-up finish at Kansas. Nick Sanchez, 6 points behind. 2 wins already this season. And Daniel Dye, another runner-up finish for him. Hasn't got to victory lane yet, but one of these 3 drivers may do it. But the guy I'm going to keep my eye on is a guy that's already won twice this year. He's an interloper. He's an Xfinity winner from this year. That's Brandon Jones, the 81 car. He won at Charlotte, and he won it at Iowa. So I think this is a guy that I'm going to keep my eye on to see if he can beat those 3-point contenders.
He's going to be tough to beat 2 for 2. And his teammate, Sammy Smith, in the 18, he's one of a handful of them making their big track debut. And Sammy right now is standing by with our Josh Sims. Hey, Josh.
Well, hey, how you doing, guys? And the thing about Sammy Smith is every time he's in a car, he's been so good this season. 5 starts so far. He's got 2 wins, and he's finished in the top 5 in each one of those starts. But that success didn't come overnight. It took a learning process, learning how to win for Sammy Smith. And he told me it was a matter of figuring out what his car needed mid-race, getting those adjustments right. His crew chief, Mark McFarland, told me when he first came to him, that was a learning process. But now he understands the car much better. He can relay what he needs, and those wins have come in droves. And speaking of wins, Sammy Smith doing double duty this weekend, making his second Xfinity start of the season, so he's hoping success tonight leads to more success on Saturday, Kate.
Well, Josh, the only championship points contender to actually race here at Pocono is the number 2 of Nick Sanchez. And he said that experience around the tricky triangle like that is pivotal. Topping the practice charts yesterday, he did so while also kissing the wall. But he said, hey, testing is done so you can test the limits, and that's exactly what I was doing. Thankfully, it's just cosmetic. I nipped the right rear quarter and the tail, but I didn't really hit any of the bumper metal bars. Even still, I'm very confident in the piece that we've brought here. He said taking it back to practice today, the team afterwards was really working on shocks and wedge adjustments to get Nick comfortable again. His only request was that they get that car back to how it was yesterday. Him saying, man, guys, that was money. TBD on if it's going to happen. He's rolling off 5th here tonight. Jamie?
Well, he knows the limit. He knows where to step now for this race. Well, Nick Sanchez, one of 28 drivers in the field. They're ready to go. Let's go trackside for the command. And we're having a little technical difficulty there. So as the drivers wait to fire those engines, you know, all those drivers, they spend a lot of time on their phones. Let's check in and see who uses the emojis. What emojis are their favorite? Here's the General Tire driver profile.
I use my phone 24/7, so I'd be very lost without my phone.
I definitely use a lot of emojis. A lot of emojis.
A lot of my buddies pick at me. They're like, you use emojis all the time. I'm like, yeah, I don't really mean to. It just,
A lot of the crying laughing face, the wolf emoji, the dog emoji.
I feel like I love a good emoji, but I would say my go-tos are the white heart. I use that like all the time on my social media. I just think it's like really cute. And then like the flame, I'll just be like, oh, that's so fire, and put like a flame.
Either the thumbs up or crying with laughter or the 100.
The 100% emoji, because usually that's my answer to everything.
I typically understand what most of them mean, but every once in a while it'll be like one that's like, I didn't even know that was an emoji. And I get it, and now I have to go find it just to see where it is.
I guess I'll use the laughing emoji a good bit. You know, even if it's like moderately funny, I'll always kind of slap one on there, so I might even overuse it.
the devil face with a grin, for sure, because I'm always up to something I probably shouldn't be doing.
And we welcome you back to Pocono Raceway. What a beautiful afternoon it has turned out to be. As you see, the engines are officially fired. But earlier today, we had a practice session. Everybody got out, turned a fast lap, and then qualifying was rained out. Huge rainstorm. So the field was set based on fastest lap, and it went to this guy, the number 18 of Sammy Smith, making his first start here at Pocono. There he is for the General Tire Pole Award officially. Let's take a look now at our General Tire starting grid. Sammy Smith will lead him, and Taylor Gray on the outside, the winner from Mid-Ohio just 2 weeks ago. Jesse Love in the 20, making his big track debut, and Raja Karuth in the number 6, one we've been watching all season, and he continues to lead the points.
Here's a couple drivers back in row 3 already with 2 wins this year. Nick Sanchez, championship contender, and Brandon Jones. And how about Connor Mosak? Excellent job this year in the ARCA Menards Series. And Jake Finch, my good buddy James Finch's son, making his National Series debut.
We've got Daniel Dye in the 43 here tonight, running for GMS, and then we've got Chris Wright in the 02, who we'll be able to watch some in-car camera later on. And then we've got Amber Bulkian and Parker Chase in row 6.
Behind them, you got the 35 of Greg Van Alst, who had a problem in practice. He will drop to the rear in a backup car. Christian Rose did not roll off the grid in the number 42. And Andy J right behind them. Glad to see him back.
Here's Sean Corr back in row number 9. Sean had a top 10 finish here last year. You see Scott Melton back after that huge accident in the Talladega. Great to see Scott back here. He's in row 10.
Got John Garrett, row number 11. Stephanie Moyer back with us. Grew up working on cars. Now she's racing once again here at Pocono.
38th start here at Pocono for Brad Smith in the 48 car.
And Alex Club, DL Wilson rounding them out. All right, we have 4 onboards to bring you all of the action. First up, the 81 Brandon Jones with the Watts on board. The Gibbs Toyota. Will he make it 3 for 3 today, Phil?
We're also going to ride along with Chris Wright. This is the Reese's on board. This is the Big Dog Energy number 02 for Chris Wright. He will start from the 10th spot.
I love these shots, Phil. Onboards get me pumped up. Jesse Love's got one with General Tire today, and we'll be watching this quite a bit.
We're also going to ride along with the 43 of Daniel Dye. This is the Phillips Ranch on board the Champion Container Chevrolet. Only 8 points back in the championship. He will start from the 9th spot.
Well, you talk about the points there for the drivers. We've got the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge. This is race number 5 of 7 on the season. Phil, this is great for the owners.
I love this for the owners because you don't have to have the same driver. Some of these drivers aren't old enough to race on all the racetracks, but you can see here, you can see the races. We've already had 4 of the races. Today's going to be number 5, and then we'll run Michigan and Kansas to decide the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge.
Obviously, you can have different drivers behind the wheel for that championship. Let's take a look at our track description.
Here's our race analysis. You see this race is 80 laps, 200 miles. We're going to have a competition caution on or around lap 30 and lap 60. And this is the 70th time the ARCA Menards Series is raced at Pocono.
A deep history here. And this, listen to this, 30 straight different winners.
That's
and
crazy.
Tonight,
That's
it's
crazy.
guaranteed to have 31. That's pretty special.
That is wild.
So who will it be? You see the pace car pulls off there. Sammy Smith in the 18. On the inside, Taylor Gray on the outside. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing at Pocono.
Already looking 3 wide from third place there, diving to the bottom. These restarts always fan out, Phil, at Pocono. You have this long straightaway and a lot of opportunity. So you see Sammy Smith in the wrong lane right here in the middle going backwards.
Jesse Love jumped to the inside of the 20 to make it 3 wide. As you mentioned, Sammy Smith is the guy that's going to pay the price. He's already back to, what, about 6th already?
Sammy Smith starts on pole, and he's back to 6th so quickly. The 57 is off Brian Doza with an issue there. Taylor Gray at the 17 to the point, picks up right where he left off, right, Phil?
That's exactly what I was going to say. At Mid-Ohio, went to victory lane at Mid-Ohio for his 2nd win of the year. Got an early lead here. Watch Connor Mosak, the 23. He's been really good. He's going to move to the inside of Sammy Smith in the 18. They're going to race side by side here.
Sammy's got a really good car. He's got to be smart here after this restart that didn't go his way. He's back in dirty air. It's going to drive different, but he's got to be patient knowing that he's got time to make that back up. Just be smart, get it in line.
You know, these drivers, Sammy Smith is one of them that has never raced at a big track this size, and there's a handful of them. They had a test session yesterday. They got a lot of on-track time, but what they couldn't practice was starts and restarts.
Well, Taylor Gray got it right. He's never been here before either. So one thing I want to mention also, I gave credit to when he won Mid-Ohio, Chad Johnston was his crew chief, and I said Chad had won a couple truck races. This is see a great side-by-side battle here. Seth Smith was actually the crew chief on those truck series wins with a 17 for David Gillen racing, not Chad Johnston.
You know, right here, you were talking about the test session and what's different in a race, you know, dirty air, all these different things. But the biggest thing at Pocono is your lift points. It's not really so much a feel thing because these straightaways are really long, really flat, as we talked about. You know, you were at Loudon last week and you had rhythm. You would lift and get back on the gas and it just becomes rhythmic. Here, there's no rhythm to it. You're driving down this long straightaway and you're looking for your braking point. When you're behind somebody, under somebody, 3 wide like they were on the start, those lift points disappear. You have no visual reference and it becomes really challenging to know where to push the car to. So I think that's kind of what we saw with Sammy Smith falling back there early on. And for Taylor Gray, though, he said, I'm out front. I can see everything.
And remember, we had a 5-hour practice session yesterday as well as about a 45-minute practice today. And then it rained hard. It washed all that rubber off the racetrack. These guys showed some tire wear yesterday during that practice when the track was green. And I think it's green again, Trevor.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the traction compound that they prep the tracks with, you'll see the top lane there's a little bit darker than the bottom. That activates differently with temperature, with rain, all these different things, rubber. And so, as you mentioned, it's a green racetrack again, and they'll have to go figure it out. You'll see on the straightaways, see how they're kind of swerving. It looks like Indianapolis when they're breaking the draft there. That's on purpose. They're trying to keep dirty air on the car behind them to make sure that they are going as quick as they can on the straightaway. The other thing with these ARCA cars, the skew. You know, we haven't seen this for a couple years in the Cup cars, but at Pocono, it shows up big time with this long, flat straightaway. The cars are yawed out all the way down the straightaway. Looks like they're broken sometimes.
Yeah, in the Cup Series, we used to call it crabby cars because it looks like they're crab walking down the front, and now that just brings it back watching that front shot of these guys. Meanwhile, the 17 of Taylor Gray, the 17-year-old out of Denver, North Carolina, he's pretty fast in everything he gets in. I mean, when this kid turns 18, look out. He'll be able to race full-time and race everywhere.
He also runs some truck races now because he's allowed to run some of the smaller tracks in NASCAR. So he's run some truck races and very competitive there also. Kate, what's going on with the 17-hour leader?
Well, one angle that Taylor is really focusing on is post-practice he didn't commit wide open soon enough. And he knows some of those spots in the track to make up time. But remember, this is one of those big tracks. I was asking him earlier, what are some of the insights you're getting? And he said, I'm trying to talk to anybody and everybody just to kind of better understand it. But after talking to them guys, he told me, hey, I think the tricky triangle is going to be pretty straightforward. I think it's going to be pretty easy. And look at him right there at the front.
He's so nonchalant.
Pretty easy.
I guess so. I mean, he's proven you could back it up after saying something's easy.
Well, and one thing you mentioned about him being 17 and being able to race here, that's unique to Pocono. And most of the time at these bigger tracks, other than Gateway, is, I think you told me, Phil, these drivers don't get a chance to be on a track like this. So for somebody like Taylor Gray that's been on short tracks the whole time, this is really hard. Right here, we've got a good battle going on for fifth with two teammates in the Xfinity Series this weekend, Brandon Jones and Sammy Smith.
And Sammy Smith, usually he's the lone wolf out there. He doesn't have a teammate, but this weekend, Brandon Jones back in. Brandon was actually in the booth with us last year, and I think he missed it a little bit, wanted to be back in the car.
Yeah, Sammy's trying to recover from that horrible start he got. He really didn't do anything wrong. He just got put in the middle and lost several positions. He's back up to the 5th spot now.
Yeah, and Jesse Love just got a great jump on that restart. We saw him push Sammy a couple times and then just jump out of line. And you know, as a driver leading the race, it's hard to know, should I protect the bottom? Do I protect the top, the middle? And when you get put 3 wide like that, there's not much you can do. But you can see him getting off the tunnel turn so well as we look back at a battle for 11th here.
You see the 30 of Amber Balkin. Pretty good speed in her first time at Pocono. Yesterday in the test, mid-pack. And then today, what started this race, 11th. And she's learning every lap. This is her first year full-time.
That's the 15 of Parker Chase that just got by Amber. Parker lost a car in practice yesterday. So this is a backup car for Venturini Motorsports, and he's doing a nice job just outside the top 10 right now.
Josh, what are they saying in the 15 camp for Parker Chase?
The thing for Parker Chase is kind of all about learning the limits here at Pocono. You talked about him doing the test yesterday and then wrecking on turn 1. And he said for him it was all about knowing that these cars go a lot faster than he expected here at this track. We know that Parker is great when it comes to the road courses. He's been working on improving at all these other type of tracks, and this is another chance for him to experience something different and learn, and that's exactly what he's doing out there. He feels like they have speed, they have a strong car, so he's confident, even though he was a little hesitant, that is, guys, after that wreck during the testing session yesterday.
A lot of people had things to say about Parker Chase after his performance at Mid-Ohio. He's a road courser, but some feelings were hurt, I would say. We'll be back to Pocono. We're 7 laps into 80. And is brought to you by Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. By Menards, save big money at Menards. And by Suchi, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products. And Taylor Gray continues to lead, has led all 11 laps so far, but don't look now. Nick Sanchez in the 2, closing quickly with Love right behind him.
Yeah, I've been watching the scoring monitor. Trevor and I both have, and Nick Sanchez has been running some fast laps. He caught Jesse Love and was able to get by him. He moved to within about a second of Taylor Gray right now, so Sanchez is definitely on the move.
He made quick work there with Jesse Love. He didn't waste any time making that pass, which is hard to do here at Pocono, where it can be one groove and dirty air can upset the car. We'll see if he can close that gap.
Jesse Love maintaining back there in 3rd, and Raja Karuth, you saw him in the 6th. In 4th, and Sammy Smith hasn't really made up much ground since that start, only up 1 spot to 5th.
Taylor Gray looks really loose off of every corner. I think he's using that resin to kind of keep the rear grip on exit, but that's where I think Sanchez just looks so much better exiting every corner. He's on the bottom, straight, and not sideways.
Jesse Love's in 3rd. What are they saying, Kate?
They're telling him that they need to track out a little wider off turn 3. He's losing quite a bit of time. As you can see, he got passed by Nick Sanchez. He's saying that he's getting really tight right now, and they said you got to do all you can through that tunnel turn. It's killing him right now, and that's the big problem that he's dealing with. Mind you, Jesse Love is a 17-year-old. This is the first time he's at a right side window, the first race here at Pocono in over 1.5 miles, so it's a big learning curve for Jesse Love.
And you hear so many of the Cup drivers throughout the years, they always talk about the tunnel turn. What makes that so different and difficult?
Well, it's all about timing. The tunnel turn is really tricky because the angles are way different than anywhere else you race. You kind of know off of turn 3 or off of turn 1 if you're going to run out of room on exit. If you go to the gas too early, you know where that car is headed. The tunnel turn is a totally different angle because it's such an open corner. It's almost like the kink at a road course that we saw at Road America a couple weeks ago. You really have to get back to the gas early and drive off all the way to the wall. And that's probably where Sanchez got in trouble yesterday. And I know a lot of people struggle there. It's so easy to go to the gas a little bit early and hit the fence, and it's also easy to underdrive it at the same time.
Let's follow along here with Jesse Love as he goes down into the tunnel turn. As you talk, watch this. Listen now, he's going to back off a little early. He's got some traffic here, so he would already be back in the throttle, and he is back in the throttle. And you're looking straight at the wall on exit. And you don't, Trevor, you're exactly right. You don't know exactly how much room you have on exit. You want to use that whole racetrack, but you still want to overuse it. But that's a really, really tricky corner for sure.
And caution is out for the first time today. It looks like the 11 has gotten into the wall. That's Bryce Hageberg. He had an issue earlier, I believe. He had brought it in with some damage. So that brings out our first caution. Taylor Gray continues as the leader, has led all 14 laps. Sanchez, Love, Carruth, Sammy Smith in the top 5.
It's a pretty hard hit to the right front of that 11 there. Almost wonder if the tire went down or.
Okay, so
now he's going to drive away just as the safety workers get there. Finally got it refired.
Well, you notice he didn't put his window net down, so you're waiting and waiting, and oh, that's why he wanted to fire it up and drive back so he can continue racing. And we will continue racing. We'll step aside. We'll be back to Pocono. Sunday on Fox, 11,000 horsepower screams down the drag strip at Sonoma. It's the NHRA Sonoma Nationals. Catch all the action and every battle Sunday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. And there is no better place to go racing, I swear, than Sonoma. Great place to see it. And we welcome you back to Pocono Raceway under caution for the first time. And Taylor Gray, it's been all about him. He's led all 15 laps so far. It was all about him just 2 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, and that makes him this week's Bounty Rookie Spotlight. We welcome you to the Mid-Ohio Dawn 150. The green flag, we're racing at Mid-Ohio.
No trouble for Arnie Koch.
And the 03 Arita Thomason. These two teammates cannot shake each other. Oh, and Raja Carruth maybe looking in the mirror a little bit.
Ooh, contact. Yeah, Greg Van Alst was out of the way there.
Sammy spins around off track.
Ooh, how about Jesse Love just driving in there. Taylor Gray gets to the inside. We make contact. Knocks the 42 out of the way.
Wow.
Hell of a job. Way to stick with it, guys.
And the checkered flag is out for Taylor Gray.
Hell yeah.
There is your winner. Taylor Gray burning it down in victory. And that was race win number 2 on the season, one earlier at Phoenix. I mean, no matter what he gets in, he is fast.
He is, and those tracks actually probably simulate this track better than anywhere. Phoenix has kind of that weird kink on the front stretch now when they flipped it around from the start-finish line. Really, that's like a miniature Pocono, I guess you could say. So he's bringing that right over here to keep the success rolling.
And I've always felt like Pocono was a road course with 3 left-hand turns because, as you mentioned earlier in the track description, they're completely different.
They are.
And so I think a road course prowess helps here.
Well, the guy chasing him, Nick Sanchez. Kate, what are they saying about him right now?
Well, they're actually talking about when to pit and if it was critical to pit here under this yellow or not. The teams were looking down the pit, seeing if anybody else was, and they said, there's not a lot of fall off on the tires. Why do it yet? Let's just stay focused on the goal here and wait till the caution. But remember, as it relates to consistency for Nick, he also feels that he's had a whole lot of bad luck lately. He said he's been racing the car a whole lot more than racing himself on the track, and that is a goal for himself today. Josh?
Well, Sammy Smith has been harping on the start of the race since it passed, as he was on the pole and then fell back. He's been over the radio, and constantly Mark McFarland has had to say, hey, take a deep breath. We will get it back. We will get it back. Well, Sammy wants to know just how much time he's making up on Taylor Gray, who's in first, and they're telling him, you're fast, you're fast. He's got the clean air. But once again, take a deep breath. We will get there. Well, right now, Sammy Smith just a little snug in 1 and 2 and free in that tunnel turn. So they're trying to work with that as he tries to make up some ground for what he had at the start of the race, guys.
Yeah, that's a good point, Josh. I can only imagine when he starts on the pole and then he loses 5 spots just like that. See a lot of yellow bumpers. There's a lot of rookies in this field.
Well, and they're going to learn things like he's learning now, right? And he wants to make it up. He's trying to prove himself. So he's going to carry that weight of, oh, man, I messed up. But really, there was, he just needed to roll. But he'll learn, and he'll get that pressure off. And he's doing the right thing. Mark is getting his attention.
Well, he knows what it takes to win. Let's take a look at what he's done so far this season.
Underneath Daniel Dye, Berlin. Daniel Dye had dominated the race. Something happened late, and Sammy Smith took advantage and went to victory lane. Now back-to-back at Elko. Great battle there with the 20 car of Jesse Love. Watch this through traffic. Take advantage of the lap cars slowing down Jesse Love, but goes to victory lane for back-to-back wins at Elko.
Defending ARCA Menards Series East champion, point leader right now. And now he'll be full-time in this National Series, the ARCA Menards National Series. He just turned 18, and that allows him to run all of the racetracks. There's his crew chief on the right there, Mark McFarland.
Mark was a good race car driver himself.
He was. I had a lot of battles with Mark. I probably came out on the wrong end of it a few times, but he was a great driver. And, the crew chiefs over at Gibbs and KBM, Mark McFarland being there with him, and then Jason Ratcliffe tomorrow, they've been telling me that he's asking all the right questions. Sammy's not scared to ask questions, and he's asking the right things. He's called me a couple times. He's texted Kyle Busch, but I think he's going to learn quick by having that mindset coming into this.
He's doing all the right things. Sammy Smith shown in 5th right now as green flag is in the air once again. Taylor Gray, Nick Sanchez on the front row.
Let's see how they fan out here, if anybody can get a little bit of momentum going.
Taylor Gray took the outside there because he didn't want to be put 3 wide the way that Sammy Smith did, and that's a good defensive move to hold that lead.
Taylor Gray once again backs up that initial start.
Jesse Love with another great start or restart, grabs a 2nd spot.
Ooh, that was awfully close for Nick Sanchez. Almost got the wall like he did in practice.
Probably not a lot of structure left in that right rear after practice. He's going to be careful with that one.
They fixed her up and made her look pretty, but like you said, it's probably not as strong as it was when they unloaded on Thursday.
Nice move by the 43 of Daniel Dye. You see him now inside the black car of Sammy Smith. See Sammy pulls over to side draft a little bit, try to pull that 43 car back some.
At the same time, Sanchez peeked inside for 2nd here on Jesse Love. He doesn't want to let Taylor Gray get away here. He cut down that lead some early in that last green flag run, but now he's going to have the side draft to make this move work on Jesse Love before turn 1.
19 laps completed, working lap number 20. We will have a competition caution at any moment.
Around lap 30, or on or around lap 30 will be that competition caution. The
lap
first
30,
one of 2.
And then 60, and then we'll have our non-competitive stops where they can take fuel and tires separately, of course. We haven't talked a whole lot about Daniel Dye so far in the 43. What are they saying in the pits, Kate?
Well, the crew chief, Chad Bryan, is telling him that you've got plenty of speed. We just need those restarts to be clean, which is exactly what happened. But under that caution, Daniel Dye said it's snug in turn 3. We have a big issue with the motor. It's probably getting back on the gas pedal. How hard and challenging is that, Trevor, when something with the gas pedal is really off?
Well, that's the last thing you want a problem with. Going into these corners, you don't want to lift and the thing not come back to your foot. And you also don't want to have issues with initial drive, So I'm curious to see if he's talking, physical gas pedals catching on something with a throttle linkage. Sometimes you get rubber built up in these. We talked about it being a green racetrack, and rubber can pop up in there and get on the throttle linkage. So I don't know if the motor's stumbling, if it's a throttle linkage issue, but hopefully it clears. Oh, trouble here.
Ooh, hard hit.
The 06 hard into the wall. That's Zachary Tinkle, the 20-year-old out of Speedway, Indiana. You saw him take a right-hander, caution for the 2nd time. That's a lot of damage.
It's really hard to hit turn 1 while easy.
Yeah, no doubt. And that thing hooked right hard, like something broke. I don't know what happened there exactly, but that was a big hit in turn 1. Worst place on the racetrack to hit like that, too.
Huge racetrack, 2.5 miles around. Speeds up over 160 miles an hour. Let's take a look back at what happened to Tinkle.
Oh, something broke for sure. The grip. Oh,
See, he was side by side, and has a look like maybe the car made a late dive into the corner. Maybe Zachary didn't realize he was there, and unfortunately, he's going to really pay for it.
Not clear, Phil. Not clear.
Oh, man.
Big hit for Zachary Tinkle.
You can see him moving around with the car. That's a good sign.
He's from right down the street from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Local racer there. Been working hard to live the dream over here. Hate to see it end like that. That was a big hit for him as they continue to work on Zachary getting him out of the car. We'll be back to Pocono. Taylor Gray is your leader. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts, available at Menards. And by General Tire, hashtag GT delivers. Well, now it's a perfect time to be camping at Pocono. There was a big storm earlier, but everybody has emerged, and it is an absolutely beautiful evening. We're under caution for the second time so far. We had a couple takers on pit road, including that guy, Daniel Dye in the 43. Kate, what'd they do?
They were actually talking to the Elmore engine guys. Chad Bryant was trying to figure out what they were doing. So they did 4 tires, they got fuel, they got under the hood, and they also took that right side window out to try and diagnose the problem. The team said they didn't make a whole lot of changes as it relates to it, but just trying to figure out what the actual issue is. Meanwhile, on the number 20 side of things, you can see that they're still digging in there, trying to diagnose that. And then on the number 20 car with Jesse Love, it was a whole lot of emphatic telling him to stop the brake, stamp on the brake, do anything you can to get your car into the box, use that brake. So there was an issue with Jesse Love getting into his box and making sure that it was in the right place. Another thing that these guys are really learning about, and Trevor, I'm sure you remember when you were pulling into the pits for the first time trying to understand it.
That's for sure. I mean, these drivers have never really done live stops. They haven't stopped in big pit boxes like this. They've been at short tracks that we've seen highlights from where they're tiny boxes, and you can kind of get lost on these pit roads, and pit road speed's a lot faster, so it's easy to miss those boxes. And going back to what we saw in the 43 car, they're checking all the kill switches, they're checking all the electronics, checking fuel system, anything they can, because as you mentioned to me, Phil, during the break, they changed that engine yesterday and got practice laps on it, but they're still having issues with that.
For sure.
So we talk about the tricky triangle and how long it's been around. The ARCA Menards series has been racing here a long time. 70th race for this series here.
Wow.
The thing that blows my mind is that we've had 30 different winners in the last 30 races. And, you know, ironically, you see the first race back in 1983. This racetrack was originally built as a 3/4-mile racetrack because they didn't have enough money to build the 2.5-mile oval like we have now. And ARCA actually came here in 1969. My brother Benny was in that race. That was the second championship year for him. And they raced on the 3/4-mile track.
That's so wild.
And you see the 2021 race winner, Corey Heim. Well, Shannon Rush and the 20 team is who went to victory lane. So, you know, they've got a lot on the line here. They want to back it up with Jesse Love.
That's for sure.
Well, you guys just talked about Pocono Raceway and quite the history. Let's learn a little bit more about the Tricky Triangle.
Today is the 69th ARCA Menards Series race at the Tricky Triangle. And through the years, Pocono Raceway has provided many memorable moments. The first ARCA race here was back in 1983 and was won by Bob Schacht. Schacht led 43 of the 60 laps and edged out NASCAR Hall of Famer Davey Allison by just under half a second. NASCAR Cup Series winners and champions have also found success in ARCA at Pocono over the last 40 years. Joey Logano dominated the 2009 race. And 4 years later, it was NASCAR's Chase Elliott taking the checkered flag, beating Eric Jones and Frank Kimmel. Not to be outdone, defending Cup champion Kyle Larson won at Pocono in 2014 for his lone ARCA Menards Series victory.
And it really has been a who's who has won here, whether it's open wheel or stock cars, and you see it there. And Look at that, 2015. There's a guy we know, Mr. Trevor Bain.
What do those 10 drivers there have in common, Jamie?
They're all Cup Series
All
drivers.
Cup Series winners. Cup Series winners.
It's a pretty good list to be on.
Yes, it
I'll
is.
take it.
Yes, it is.
Trevor Bain just happened to win the biggest of them all,
Yes, he
Daytona
did. Yes, he
500.
did.
I say it all the time. I did my career backwards. I won a Cup race, then an Xfinity race, and then an ARCA race. So I don't think that happens very often.
That is interesting.
I know.
Get our guys on and see if anybody else has ever done that before. All right, so it's been an interesting race so far. 24 laps completed. Taylor Gray on the outside. Nick Sanchez on the inside.
See, nice push coming from Sammy Smith on Nick Sanchez.
He chose to stay in line. He's one of the few so far that have done that. But we see what it did there. It pushed both of them to first and second, and now the 17's losing a lot of spots in these restarts. I think restarts could be the name of the game of this race. We get a late restart. These guys are watching this, and they're seeing, man, you just can't do anything if you don't have help, if you choose the wrong lane.
Yeah, what a great job by Sammy Smith with that push on Nick Sanchez. Both those drivers out in front of Taylor Gray.
Sammy Smith, that initial start, I think he learned a lot of things, put that in the memory bank, and what a great start for him now, getting himself up there at the front of the field with Nick Sanchez.
Great shot of Daniel Dye having to deal with the sun through the tunnel turn. The tunnel turn's tough enough as it is, much less that having that sun right dead in your eyes.
No doubt about it. And for Daniel Dye right now, they've already pitted. They've got their tires. They've got their fuel. At this stage break, they can stay out. So now, you know, he was running 7th. He's back in the field. But at this point, just take care of your tires. Wait for the stage break at lap 30. Let everybody else pit, and then get your track position back.
I love that strategy. And all the crew chiefs I've talked to said that's what they're looking to do as we get towards the end of this. For the second competition caution, try to catch your caution prior to that competition caution and pit then and be done with it.
And the 20th, Jesse Love, you saw him there. So after that pit stop, he's back in 12th.
He just made the pass, or trying to make the pass on Jason Kitzmiller. That is for the 11th spot. Lost all his momentum coming through the tunnel turn, and Jason Kitzmiller able to drive back by him.
Riding on board with Jesse Love right there. You mentioned the sun. Hard for those guys to see. It's hard to tell the numbers that some of the angles right now at this time with the sun just getting ready to set there.
This is a hard thing to do as a young driver. When you get those new tires and they say, just take care of them. It's so easy to feel like Superman and try to get the lead back before the caution, almost to challenge yourself. But, you know, if they learn here and they realize, all right, let's just ride. That's all we need to do.
You know, we only have 2 or 3 laps till the competition caution, so don't take any chances. We saw the big clump of cars there. Certainly easy for somebody to make a mistake and get caught up in something.
Nick Sanchez, our second leader of the day, but Sammy Smith not letting him get away. Brandon Jones behind him, making his way through, and Taylor Gray after that restart back in 4th.
Looks like he's about to lose a spot to Raja Caruth. Raja really got off the tunnel turn well. And Raja did make the pass on the 17 of Taylor Gray.
So Raja Caruth in the 6th now moves into 4th. Taylor Gray slips back to 5th.
You know Taylor Gray right now is shell-shocked. He said, I led every single lap of this race. My car was perfect. Now I'm back in this dirty air. I'm getting passed left and right.
Dirty air, and he was so free before. A lot of times with restarts, your tires change, you pick up rubber and things like that, and you get freer. And I think that's probably what's happening to him. He needs that clean air on his race car.
Okay, Raja Caruth is on the move. What are they saying?
The spotter, Chris Lambert, is reminding him, I can see clear as day, and that is giving Raja a whole lot of confidence. But also, Raja just last night had an iRacing event that was around Pocono. In fact, he said he crashed out, but it was in hopes that it was going to help him have a better understanding of the reference points around this track. He said after testing yesterday, he went into turn 1 and all he could see was a fence in the sky, and he was really having a hard time differentiating that. I can imagine as a driver, especially now with the sun setting, this is making it extremely challenging, especially for those who are newbies around the track.
Certainly a lot to learn for these young drivers. Raja Caruth, though, in a brand new car here, so this team really trying to capitalize on that. These guys don't get brand new cars every week like you see in the Cup Series.
Starting to see some people move around. I saw the 81 there, Brandon Jones, go up into the resin in the traction compound and see if he can make a bigger run down the straightaway. I don't know if he slid up there on purpose or not on entry, but on exit he was definitely up there trying to get momentum. And that's an experience thing. He's in Xfinity every weekend learning how this traction compound works, and he's moving around to see if it's going to activate.
Yeah, he's more than likely the most comfortable in that traction compound than anybody else in the field. I was watching truck race from last year earlier this week, and everybody, it seemed like, was running in the second lane through the traction compound, all three ends of the racetrack.
We're working lap number 30, and there it is completed. The caution has come out. The competition caution number 1 has fallen. Nick Sanchez, Sammy Smith, Brandon Jones, the top 3. We'll step aside, and when we come back, pit stops will be underway. Tomorrow on Fox, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series heads to the Tricky Triangle, where each trucker will look to go all out in the final race before the playoffs. Catch the action tomorrow morning at 11:30 Eastern on Fox. Yes, it's already that time, and you're both going to be part of that.
Can't wait.
Trevor Bayne, Phil Parsons. So exciting, guys, trying to race their way into that final couple of positions.
Yeah, we're going to set the playoff field tomorrow right here at Pocono. Can't wait.
Hard to believe we're already at that point in the season, right?
I know it, yeah.
Little bit different for the Truck Series.
It
Obviously
is.
a 23 race schedule, and they'll have a 7 race playoff. There it is right there.
You talk about trying to race your way in. Matt Crafton has that coveted 10th spot right now, only 19 points.
I don't know how coveted that one is.
It'll be coveted after tomorrow.
That's
Let's put it that way. But
tomorrow.
Yeah, Derek Krause only 19 points behind. Everybody for sure below that has to win their way in, with Tyler Ankrum 46 points behind. But Zane Smith, after about 1 or 2 trucks fall out of the race, then he is our regular season champion. And we'll get you see he's got 22 playoff points. He'll get 15 more playoff points that he'll be able to carry all the way to Phoenix.
And that's such a huge deal in these playoffs, how tight they are. You can't have any mistakes, but that cushion right there of points can make a difference.
Zane Smith, what a season it's been. That is coming up tomorrow at 11:30. And more trouble for the 42 of Christian Rose, the former Division I baseball player. Had a problem on the grid, but got fired, was working his way through the field. Unfortunate end for Christian, who, by the way, is throwing out the first pitch for the Reds game on Monday. So at least a little something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, the pits are open.
Now, this is for everybody that has not stopped already. We know that some of those drivers are going to stay out to get the track position, and they will restart up front.
Non-competitive stops here. They'll have 5 minutes to work on those cars. Let's go down to Josh Sims.
And let's start with the 81 of Brandon Jones, who has won in his other 2 starts so far this season, so looking to make it 3 in a row. So far, he's been saying he's tight all the way around the track, but they're going to make an adjustment to free him up, but he's been getting better as the runs have been going, and that's what he said he wanted to do. He knew the guys around him were going to push early, so he wanted to make sure he continues to get better, up from 6th to 3rd. Moving on to Sammy Smith, who also is working on those restarts. We saw what he did at the start of the race. Not happy. The last one on lap 26 got much better. He's just a tick too tight, so they're going to make an adjustment for him, Kate.
Meanwhile, down over here in the Nick Sanchez camp, we got 4 tires, we have fuel, and coming into the pit stop, crew chief Matt Booker was saying, if you're tight out front, then we need to free you up a little. Nick Sanchez says, please don't go too drastic because I feel really good in traffic. They said, copy that, then we'll just give you a little air pressure and send you off. Nick said, will you also send me off with a few waters as well? It's pretty hot out there. That's what these guys are battling out here on the track. Jamie?
Thank you, Kate. You saw a little bit of work being done to the nose of the 18, perhaps maybe a little bit of damage. They're taping up there with some bare bond, and they're calling for more. Oh, yeah, right there.
Taping up the brake ducts possibly, too. Probably had a little bit of brake duct open. And you have to remind people, too, that these drivers that came to pit road, they will go back on the racetrack in the same order that they came on pit road.
Nothing to be gained on pit road in this series. Well, we will drop the green flag once again. 47 laps to go from here at Pocono. Welcome back to Pocono Raceway. Beautiful evening, a warm evening here in the Pocono Mountains. Well, we've had some moves, we've had some great restarts, and this is the time for you Remember, it's this Reese's Sweet Move of the Race, and you can vote starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Go over to the ARCA Menards Series Twitter page at ARCA_racing, and you vote. And of course, you have to continue on. We have to keep our eye on what we think will be the Reese's Sweet Move of the race.
Right now, we have some issues on pit road. These were non-competitive pit stops, but the pace car kept going around the racetrack. It wasn't a time situation, and they're saying the 17 of Taylor Gray did not beat the pace car out. It's supposed to be non-competitive pit stops, so to me it really doesn't make any sense. If this is the case, then if I'm David Gillen, who owns this car, I'm going to say, well, I want to have a professional pit crew come here to pit the car, because they're only allowed 4 men and you can only change tires and fuel at separate times, so this doesn't make any sense to me.
So some racetracks that we go to in a non-competitive stop, they have 5 minutes. They shut them down, they work on the car. Here is a little bit different. They weren't timed, as you just mentioned. So if the pace car went by, they actually went down a lap. And I believe we had 4 of them that went a lap down. Parker Chase, Tanner Gray, Brad Smith, Greg Van Alst are the 4 that we're showing right now.
Here are the procedures right here. We know we have the competition caution on around lap 30. We're going to have another one at lap 60. Only 4 crew members are allowed over the wall. You're allowed to change 4 tires and add fuel. You just can't do it at the same time. You have to be completely done with doing one, and then you can do the other. And then the restart order is set by the order at the time of caution. You let them down pit road, you would be the lead car as you restarted behind the cars that stayed on the racetrack. We know we have cars that stayed on the racetrack. But now they're saying that you had to beat the pace car out. I'm sure guys took their time taping up the front end. We saw people taping up the front end and taking their time doing their work, and now they're saying they lost a lap.
See Raja Caruth back on pit road to top it off.
Yeah, if you're Taylor Gray here, it's going to be tough to keep your composure as a whole group, to be kind of caught off guard a little bit. So for him now, he's hoping that he sees some early cautions here, gets the wave around, and he's able to come back and be in the hunt here, because we've seen him lead most of the first stage, and now like that things have twisted and turned and he finds himself a lap down. Kate, what you got down there on the 17? Are you hearing anything more?
Well, right from the horse's mouth here, we have Chad Johnson, who's going to speak on behalf of it. What was, from your point of view, what was happening? What was NASCAR telling you?
They said we blew through the stop and go sign at the end of pit road, so they were holding us to go to the tail end. So it's about all I know right now. We had trouble getting fuel in it, and we're trying to beat the pace car off the pit road, under those yellow flag stops. So that's about all I know right now. We're going to the tail, but we'll be in the lead lap.
As it relates to being held right here in the pit, was there anything that you guys were focusing on with those tires?
He just felt like he had something going on, so we're just hitting him to make sure we got him all tight.
And that is what is happening in the 17 camp, guys.
Well, that's totally different than losing a lap. But he was going to lose a lap, and he wasn't going to beat the pace car, and he went through the stop sign, which technically, if that's the case and that's how they're going to play it, then he should be a lap down. You shouldn't be allowed to blow through the stop sign and then go to the tail and not lose a lap. And we're also being told, we saw that the 6 of Raja Caruth came back in to top off with fuel. He will also go to the back of the pack.
Well, and with these non-competitive pit stops, as you mentioned, changing tires first, then putting fuel in, may have been a situation where they knew they were going to get passed by the pace car and they tried to beat it. But either way, at that point, you're coming back to put fuel in it. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, we heard them talk about the pace car actually passed them while they were on pit road. Take a look here. The pace car is on the far left. Car's still having work done.
I think this defeats the purpose of having non-competitive pit stops. I mean, it's okay to keep the pace car going around the racetrack, but at a reduced rate of speed. Make sure you give these guys enough time to do the work and to make some adjustments that they would normally do on pit stops.
Well, you heard Chad Johnston say there he was having trouble fueling the car, so they had to take that extra bit of time.
Well, as long as they're not, if they're all starting on the lead lap here, as they've said, then really there's the penalty for taking too long, but we've got to see here what happens with the laps here. I'm not sure. Chad, I'm hearing a couple different things from Chad Johnson, seeing the scoring pile on, so I'll be interested to see what ARCA rules here.
We see the 17 car right there with the pack, and he's being shown on their scoring monitor as a lap down. So I'm really curious to see if Chad can fight that fight and try to get back on the lead lap.
Raja Caruth right now shown 16th, the last car on the lead lap as of now. And you see the points shakeup as they run right now. Raja goes from leading the points to third in points, 7 back. That gives his teammate Nick Sanchez right now the #1 spot. We'll see how it all shakes out, but as of right now, that's how it looks.
And they're still within 7 points. they just can't get away from each other.
Well, teammates were penalized at Mid-Ohio because they didn't understand the rules and not being able to shift back and forth from wets to slicks. And they still shook out, and I think Raja gained 1 point after all that.
We're about to see how these tires hold up from the short pitting, and if anybody else will take that option later in the race if it's available.
All right, we got Jesse Love on the outside and Connor Mosak for the first time on the front row in the restart today.
Another nice push you see out the left side. Sammy Smith pushing Daniel Dye.
It's about the most even we've seen him going to turn 1 yet on a restart.
Here's Connor Mosak, the 23, doing really a nice job. His last 4 ARCA starts have been all top 5 finishes.
And as we mentioned, this is kind of like a road course, Phil, and he's a road course guy. We saw him in the 18 car at I guess it was at Portland? Yeah, Portland. He ran the Xfinity race.
And did a great job.
He did.
Got involved in a wreck not of his making.
And he's doing a great job here with this. So I really do think this track suits the road course guys pretty well. Brandon Jones working his way through, and as I watch him today, we didn't see a ton of speed in practice or in the test session, but he's doing a good job figuring this race car out, learning how to race around people, and right now getting a huge push from Sammy Smith.
His teammate Sammy Smith. Sammy usually one man out, the single car operation. It's a Kyle Busch Motorsports entry. Brandon Smith, though, a teammate this weekend.
Brandon Jones jumped up in front of the 43, and look at all the momentum that Daniel Dye lost, having to give Brandon Jones a little bit of room.
Really impressed with Sammy Smith to be racing head-to-head with Brandon Jones like this and similar equipment, and doing a nice job working his way through every time. Restarts, just scenario-wise, haven't worked out perfect for him every time, but like we said, he's learned from that first one, really getting through turn 1 well.
And that was the that was the battle for 4th. We've got a good battle up front for the lead. Connor Mosak now leading this race.
Under pressure.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of people yesterday after the test, and said Nick Sanchez was lights out, faster than anybody. Obviously made contact with the wall. Looked like the car was perfect, though, today when they came in. But great battle here between Mosak and Sanchez.
He's doing a really good job, Phil, of holding his left front headlight out. And you'll see drivers peek out, and that does 2 things. Down this straightaway, 1, it gets Connor Mosak looking in the mirror, right? He's thinking, man, he's close. I got to hit my line. It's super easy to miss these corners and miss the bottom. So Nick wants him to be looking in that mirror. Number 2, it puts clean air on that left front headlight, and that helps the turn of these cars. Sanchez using all the room like he did yesterday, but I really like how he's getting that thing to the bottom, like this right here, diving in early, getting the left front in clean air. That's going to help him make this pass if he can get close enough.
Brett Holmes racing part-time here, part-time in the Truck Series with Shane Huffman as the crew chief. Nice effort by them as they lead this field. Working lap number 42, but Nick Sanchez not giving up at all.
Shane Huffman and Mark McFarland, 2 crew chiefs we've talked about, they had some big battles in their day in the USAR Pro Cup Series. I was in the mix with those but those guys, man, they were the guys I look up to racing. They were drivers. They understand how to drive race cars, and that makes them great crew chiefs in this series because they know what their drivers are talking about.
Let's go back and clarify the situation with the 17 of Taylor Gray. He was held 1 lap on pit road. Chad Johnston thought they were going to have to go to the tail. Well, he's down 1 lap now.
Hey, and I hope you're not the one that had to tell him.
There he is right there trying to make his way back up to the front. He is the first car 1 lap down now, so if the caution flag were to come out, we know we're going to get a caution on or around lap 60, then he would get the free pass. But he would love to see a caution now to give him more time to catch up. Right now we have 16 cars on the lead lap.
Well, certainly some confusion and frustration in the 17 camp. And yes, Trevor, sometimes when you're, a pit reporter, you have to be the bearer of bad news.
Oh, no, Jamie. Well, I think Connor Mosak's holding up Nick Sanchez a little bit here. I don't think he's been able to get close enough to attack and make that pass. And now we're seeing Jesse Love close that gap. He was the fastest car last lap by a few tenths over first and second place.
Yeah, that clean air is king, isn't it?
Let's
It is.
get get an update on Jesse Love. Here's Kate.
Jesse actually didn't pit over in that last competition caution. They freed him up to give him 4 tires, and they stayed out. They said why? Well, we're going to get our track position back, and clearly there's a whole lot of action with all of them on the track, guys.
Heck of a battle right there. Jesse Love in the 20 ducking to the inside, and Nick Sanchez couldn't get it done. But we've got a new leader, Nick Sanchez, to the front.
Yeah, Connor Mosak got trouble whipped on lap.
You heard that? Ooh, right as we went to Kate.
Through the tunnel turn, and Nick Sanchez took advantage of it. What a great battle. 5 cars up here, less than a second apart.
If you're a leader, you do not want to catch a lap car in the tunnel turn, and that's exactly what happened here. And let's take a look at it to see this pass for the lead. Car right in the way of the tunnel turn. That allows Sanchez to get a huge run on Mosak.
Yeah, I think Mosak was just being a little bit cautious around that lap car, which he should have been.
You have to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick Sanchez took advantage, Jamie.
Thank you to the spotters, right? Telling Nick Sanchez, you're clear. Just go for it. Don't have to lift there. So Nick Sanchez leads this one. Connor Mosak slips back a spot. Jesse Love there as well. Great battle up front.
Right now, a lot of these crew chiefs are looking for a caution flag, because if a caution flag were to come out now, they would stop under that caution and not even worry about coming back in under the competition caution. And they'll have enough fuel to get to the end of the race.
And that second competition caution scheduled for lap 60, on or around lap 60. But like you said, they can mix up the strategy, and you come anytime before then, now till then, you're good to go till the end.
Well, and Jamie, we're seeing that these 5 or 6 laps that the other drivers from the last cycle that short pitted, it's not affecting them too bad. They're in 2nd and 3rd place. I mean, really, they're holding onto that track position well. This isn't like a track like Richmond or somewhere like that we race at, or, for them, Berlin, where it really wears the tires out, and they've got to take care of them those 5 or 6 laps and make a huge difference. Here, it's not as bad of a deal.
How about Raja Karuth, the 6 car, getting by Jake Finch? That's for the 6th spot. What a great recovery by Raja. But I want to talk a little bit about Jake Finch. This is his first National Series race, driving that 55 car. Son of James Finch, good buddy of mine, Phoenix Construction, around the Cup Series for years and years, Xfinity Series, and Jake doing a great job. He ran a few East races this year. He actually had the pole at the fairgrounds at Nashville and finished 2nd. And had a great run. Also ran at Pensacola and had a good run going. Had a little flat tire later. Ooh, trouble for the 15 of Parker Chase. He was one of the cars that was caught by the pace car, and he was a lap down, or is a lap down, I should say. Josh, what's going on with the 15?
Yeah, Parker just came over the radio and said it was idling, and he kept going down on the gears, and it kept idling, and then he said, I think I just lost throttle, guys. So trouble for the 15.
All right, so we are under caution for the 4th time today, and that means the 17 of Taylor Gray gets the free pass.
Back in the race now. Back in the race.
A couple things happen here. That pit strategy you were just talking about, Phil, it might come to life. I don't know if people are going to be gutsy enough to make the tires last this long, but it's a shot. It's an opportunity for somebody like the 17. You come down and pit now after you get the wave around. Shoot, it may set him up great for the end of this race.
I think about all of them are going to come in now, because, again, they know they're in their fuel window. And we heard some of the crew chiefs talking earlier that the tires really weren't falling off any. So General Tire bought a great tire here for this racetrack, not losing much speed. So I think everyone comes to pit road.
And back to Jake Finch, you were talking about right before we saw the 15 slow down and all the drama that unfolded there. But so cool to see Phoenix back on a race car, right? I mean, growing up watching the sport, it's just kind of a throwback in my mind, even though it's not a throwback scheme. It looks like it to me.
When I think of James Finch, I think of Brad Keselowski winning at Talladega.
Against Carl Edwards.
Yes, what an epic finish it was. James Finch was actually at the airport, and I saw him over there, and then all of a sudden he was told his car won and went to victory lane.
I actually called James right after the checkered flag drop just to leave him a message, because I knew he would be going to victory lane. And he answered. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm at the airport trying to get back inside the racetrack."
Yes, he was. I saw him there. And now he gets to watch his son, young son, 17 years old now, making his National Series debut. You see him right there.
Runs a lot of super late model races at Pensacola and all around the Southeast.
James is going to end up owning a Cup team again out of this.
Oh, boy.
Yes, sir. If Jake can do it, he'll do it.
You can't stay away long.
That's right.
So the pits will be open this next time. And, Phil, you talked about it. Who will take advantage here? Come down pit road and maybe be done with it for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think if I want to win the race, I'm coming down pit road on this caution flag. We saw the 17 of Taylor Gray go by the leader, so he got his lap back.
We had a lot of lookers there. Sanchez kind of looked down. Nobody took it, so they all stayed out. I mean, honestly, Phil, this could play out great for Taylor Gray.
Yeah.
He's the first one to pit here, and they cycle out.
Would absolutely come to pit road because you know he can go to the end. And what I'm really shocked that a lot of these guys didn't come to pit road. You see the green light over there right below the Sunoco sign, so pit road is definitely open.
They're not listening to you, Phil.
Every crew chief I talked to said they would definitely come in once they got in their window, and not one of them did.
They're not sharing their secrets.
They're not.
Definitely open. We had 2 takers from the back of the pack. All right, Nick Sanchez continues to lead. Connor Mosack, Jesse Love, Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, your top 5. We'll get back to racing after this. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Reese's. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. And by Sprecher, Fire Brewed Craft Soda, the official craft soda of ARCA. And we welcome you back. Look at all the kids out there having a good old time. Sun is shining. It's nice and warm. There's a good race happening.
We're getting ready to restart. The 17 did come down pit road, put fuel in it now. You know, we talked about why didn't they stop. Trevor, they stopped on lap 33. You think with all these caution laps we've had, they think maybe they can make it from here without stopping?
Yeah, there's definitely a potential for that. You got long straightaways here. Going green here, though, Jamie. I'll jump back on that in just a second.
And Nick Sanchez leads them. Connor Mosack up front once again, and they're rubbing at the front of the field.
Ooh, 3-4 wide.
That's what we're used to seeing here at Pocono.
I'm telling you, I want to be third on these restarts.
Absolutely. Jesse Love grabs that lead on the restart.
What a restart by Jesse Love. Went to the inside and drove straight up. He has been lights out on the restarts today.
He really has. And Phil, we were talking about saving under caution. When you're on these long straightaways under green, you got a lot of throttle time. It's easy to coast, save, cut the engine off, and roll around and save fuel. But also Rajah Caruth, we saw him come down and pit.
Oh, trouble.
Amber Balkin involved in the wreck. The 73 goes around as well. That's Andy Jankowiak. And we've got him wrecking all over the back of the pack. The 44 goes around as well. That's Ed Pompa.
There's Sean Core. A lot of damage to that 8 car for Sean Core. There's Ed Pompa's 44 car you were talking about, Jamie.
Amber Balkin had such a good run going. She was even in the top 10 for quite a few laps. I'll have to look back and see what exactly led to this. Oh man,
that's a lot of damage. See the winner net down. That's a signal from Sean that he's okay.
Sean Core, the 38-year-old from New York, and here's another New Yorker right here, Andy Jankowiak.
Look at all the damage to that car, Jamie. Gosh.
Pizza delivery driver, builds his own cars, a lot of friends together. That's what makes up this team. Basically, race to race. See what kind of sponsorship they can get if they can make it to the track. And you see it's just destroyed.
That's what makes it almost harder than the hit is after the fact, somebody like that's building their own cars and working on things. He knows that thing's torn up. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of time that he's invested into this thing. And we see Amber getting out of her car now. She's okay. A lot of these cars went front end or rear end up in the air during that crash. And once that happens, you can definitely have some things go bad. So glad to see everybody getting out.
Amber Balkin's had a tough stretch here. She had a few races in a row earlier in the season, top 10s, figuring it out, and she's had a tough go of it the last few races. See Sean Core out there looking at the damage. Let's take a look exactly what happened here.
Looks like obviously Amber was sideways, and then the 73 of Andy with nowhere to go. Sean Core actually with the 8 nowhere to go either, ran underneath the 73.
Ooh, a little help from behind there on Amber.
Yeah, it looked like Jason Kitzmiller, the 97, got into Amber as they were going into the tunnel turn. And then nowhere for these other drivers to go.
Chris Wright's on board.
Just trying to pick his way through there.
mean, you guys said it earlier. There are no small hits at Pocono.
No, and nowhere to go. Jason Kitzmiller, obviously, that got in the back of Amber. Looks like he's unscathed there. That's the black and red car left of your screen. Look at Tony Breitinger. Look at the job she did.
So close.
Oh, man, getting around Amber.
And Pumpa there on the bottom, he's thinking he's in the clear all the way at the bottom, and last second gets caught in the right rear.
Drivers involved from 14th back to 17th.
Sean Cora right there. Glad to see him out jumping in the ambulance for the mandatory ride to the care center.
You see him stopped on track.
Let's talk strategy here, Phil. I think this gives these crew chiefs a second to regroup and think about things. You've got Jesse Love leading this thing, but he pitted last at lap 22, not 33 with the rest of the group. So we know, or at least think for sure, he's got a pit still. And a couple other drivers there, Mozak, Daniel Dye, they were in that same group. Everybody else right now, it's kind of a game of what's their fuel mileage, how much can they save under caution, all the way back to Carruth in 5th. Now he's pitted 3 laps later, as we were saying, when the caution came out. He might be able to make it all the way.
What do you think if we talk to the crew chief on the 2 of Nick Sanchez? Do you think maybe he'll shed some light? Kate's got him.
Well, let's ask him. Kate, let's ask him what's going on.
Let's hear those secrets, Kate.
Straight to the source, guys. Matt Booker here, the crew chief on the number 2. Wandering minds, curious minds, what are you guys going to do as it relates to strategy?
We're just going to see how fast the sun sets here, honestly. We got 30 laps. I think we can make it on fuel, so definitely don't want to stay out and then get trapped behind people that does it. The tires aren't falling off much, so depending on how long this takes here, more than likely we'll come in and see him for the last time, hopefully.
Now, you seem very cool, calm, and collected. How's Nick doing in the car?
He's good. He's good. We're just trying to handle and manage these restarts. They're kind of crazy here, and, go from having the best car to getting into traffic to having the 3rd or 4th best car. So just kind of managing that, and I can be cool. He's the one doing it all.
Yeah, no, you're very cool down here on the bit. See, these guys are looking for their 3rd win of the season, as Nick is feeling like they've had a little bad luck. We're trying to turn that around here today, guys.
Obviously, Nick Sanchez doing a nice job on the restarts. Got into the wall a little bit earlier, but he's been up front. So what do you guys think? Strategy, you like that call?
Well, it doesn't sound like it's on his radar to go from here. It sounds like they're going to come down and pit that 2 car again. I don't know. I feel like somebody's going to take the gamble. If McFarland was talking to you and telling you where they thought they could make it on fuel, and Phil, I don't know.
Yeah, and we know the 17 can make it. He did not put tires on, but when he got his lap back, he did come in, top it off with fuel. So without a doubt, we know he can make it. And I'm not sure we had 8 caution laps prior to this incident right here, so I'm not sure that the guys that pitted on lap 33, like Nick Sanchez and like Sammy Smith, Brandon Jones, I'm not sure that they can't make it too, because Mark McFarland told me that he thought he can run as many as 45 laps, and that's without caution laps too. So it's going to be interesting. I think some of these guys are going to play it pretty close to the best.
Yeah, they're not going to share that information with anybody else on those pit boxes, that's for sure.
Well, as you see, cleanup continues. These crew chiefs will have plenty of time to sit and contemplate. We're under caution for the 5th time today for this big incident with 4 cars involved. Welcome back to Pocono. We're still under caution here for the 5th time this evening for a 4-car pileup. Sure is beautiful, though. Some fans in the stands, a lot of campers in the infield. 71 degrees, humidity. But look at that on the bottom. Sunset 8:29. According to my watch, it's 8:02.
I think that's what Nick Sanchez's crew chief was talking about. He said we've got about 30 minutes of daylight left or whatever. And Trevor and I were talking a minute ago, we've got 30 laps left right now. These laps are 53, 54, 55 seconds. So I think we're going to be right up against it. And obviously we're still sitting on the racetrack under red flag.
Well, let's hear from another crew chief and see what the strategy is this time for the 18, Josh.
Yeah, down here with Mark McFarland, crew chief of the 18 team with Sammy Smith. And Mark, what's the conversation right now with how to handle the end of this race with the sun setting and all the cautions coming out?
Just a lot of decisions trying to get Sammy where he's happy. We really haven't been that good this weekend, so we keep creeping up on it, getting better every time we get a chance to work on it. But we still need just a little adjustment to make us perfect.
And any concerns with how you'll handle this with the sun going down and the time kind of running out?
Yeah, all kinds of concerns, but we just got to make our best guess, and I think he just needs to be tightened up a little bit, and he'll be fine.
Thanks, and good luck the rest of the way. Kate?
Yeah, over here talking about the roller coaster that is with Shannon Rush, the crew chief on the number 20. Shannon, how would you describe the roller coaster of a day at this point?
It's a roller coaster. I'm happy with the position I'm in right now, but this is the tough spot to be in right now. Sunset coming. You're kind of trying to figure out how long track cleanup's going to take. So, how many laps are we going to run if we go back green? So, I'm at the bottom of the hill right now, so looking to go back up.
No, holding on tight for sure. You guys went off strategy a little bit. Didn't pit on that first competition caution. Kind of holding on tight, like we're saying. What's the real strategy here?
It depends on what position you're running. It's a fairly easy call if you're running 4th, 5th, 6th, but when you're the leader, it's a little bit tougher. So,
any big concerns?
No, I don't have any concerns. Hopefully my wife and daughter are doing good back home. So
there you go. A nice shout out to them. Jesse Love and team is looking for their first win of the season together.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, Jesse Love shown as the leader right now. He's been so good on those restarts. But I love it here from the crew chiefs. They're like, yeah, we're worried about it getting dark. We're worried about fuel. And oh, by the way, our car handling. We want to help that too. We need to adjust on our race car. Well, we're under caution, as we mentioned, that 4-car pileup. All drivers did walk away. But let's take a look at a near miss by this one right here, the number 25, Tony Breidinger.
Watch when the 30 goes back across the racetrack, Amber Balkan, and watch the job that Tony does right here getting around. She had to turn hard right and maintain control. That's a great move.
I would say that's a great Reese's Sweet
That's
move
my
nominee.
favorite right now, for sure.
Hey, at Mid-Ohio, the one we said was our favorite, ended up being the Reese's Sweet move of the race.
And guys, ARCA officials have said this is going to be the competition caution right here. We're not going to go to lap 60 for a competition caution. If the guys want a free pit stop, it's going to be on this caution when the red flag is pulled back.
Oh, decisions. Cleanup continues. We'll get back to racing. 50 laps in, 30 laps to go from Pocono. On Sunday at 12:30 Eastern on FS1, join us for NASCAR Race Day. Adam Alexander, AA, and Jamie McMurray, Larry McReynolds will preview the Cup race from Pocono. They'll break down the Austin Dillon Brad K feud from Loudon, and of course have a special look at Christopher Bell's win from the eyes of his pit crew. That's all Sunday at 12:30 on FS1. I look forward to hearing all about what a special day it was for that 20 team indeed. Well, cars are cranked. We'll get them going here. Cleanup is complete. Let's take a look now at the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. All started with the initial green flag. Sammy Smith from the pole slips back to 6th in no time at all.
Big wreck for the 11 here. Right front tire went down.
A lot of damage to that car, Phil.
Yeah. Zachary Tinkle, the 06, gets together with another car, makes hard contact with the safer barrier in turn 1.
Got another restart here where the 18 learned from his first restart, pushes the 2 out to the lead, and they get by Taylor Gray for the lead on this restart.
Taylor Gray was penalized for not beating the pace car out during the competition caution. Actually was brought back down pit road, cost a lap, got the lap back, and now he's already topped off with fuel, so we know that he can go to the end. But again, the ARCA officials have called this the competition caution. This is great move here by Nick Sanchez. He caught the 23 Connor Mosek going around Brad Smith, lost his momentum for just a second, got hooked up with a 20 of Jesse Love, and drove on by the 23.
Another 3 wide, almost 4 wide restart. We've seen this every time, and Pocono's known for that. But Jesse Love getting that lead back, which is how he's in the position he's in right now, and making his crew chief sweat bullets on what to do next.
Jesse's been so aggressive on these restarts. He has been the most aggressive guy, but this, unfortunately, is why we were put under red. Hard contact, 4 cars involved. You see Amber Balkan gets turned around. She gets hit by Andy J as well as Sean Core. And then the 44 of Ed Papa came along the inside with nowhere to go, and a great job by Tony Breidinger to get by without making contact with Amber.
After 51 of 80 laps, Jesse Love, your current leader right now. We've had 4 different leaders. Taylor Gray was so good, led 25 laps. You guys just talked about the up and down day that he has had. He is now shown in 10th. You think he's still in this?
I definitely think he's still in it, and I'll tell you what, that sunset looks beautiful, probably to us more so than the crew chiefs and drivers right now. I know that they're not too pumped about it. There's no lights at this track, and that's why it's a big deal to us. There's no way to turn those on and finish the race, but hopefully they'll get most of these laps in, if not all of them. I know to me, when I'm outside at night, 10 minutes after sunset, I don't know that I want to be driving a race car with no lights on it. So, to me right here, he's got to make quick work. Some of these drivers may pit here. They may top off on fuel, and as we mentioned, Phil, you mentioned it, he topped off on the last caution, so that penalty could save the day for him.
And some of these guys may stay out. They may think that we're not going to go the full distance. We've only run 8 laps since the competition caution under green, so that's lap 33. So I think these guys probably have enough fuel to get to the end, and they may feel like those 8 laps on the tires aren't enough to bring them to pit road. So I think we could have some varying strategies here.
Well, and this is kind of like racing the rain. If you know the cloud's coming, you're like, how much longer do I have? I guarantee you they're Googling, how long after sunset does it actually get dark? So they're trying to figure it out.
What do you think? Maybe till 9 o'clock? Maybe like.
Ooh, I don't know if I can go that long.
I don't think it's going to be 9 o'clock.
Not when you're driving like 160 miles per hour.
That's the kicker, and that's a judgment call, right? Like, that's how dark is it? How dark is too dark? It looks like every one of these leaders are coming down pit road, including Rajah Caruth, who was one I thought may risk it here and may stay out.
Yes, this is our final competition caution. ARCA decided to pull it out now after that red flag moment, and we have a lot of takers. We heard a lot of those crew chiefs saying they wanted to fuel up. They're coming your way, Josh.
And that was the debate on the radio, starting with the 81, whether or not to come in. Didn't think they could make it in the end if they didn't, so they come in. They're going to make some adjustments. And Brandon Jones has been too free in 1 and 2, and he's been snug in the tunnel turn, so it's been a little bit of a battle for him today as he gets tires and fuel. And then we move on to the 18 of Sammy Smith. Also a debate on the radio whether or not to come in. Sammy kept asking, is the sun going down? Are we going to be able to make it without making a turn or without coming into pit? They decided to ultimately pit, get tires and fuel. Okay.
On the number 20 car, we see they're adding fuel, but if you bring your way on up here to the number 2, that's Nick Sanchez's tires, fuel. The team says no real adjustments. He's very happy with it. They take off that tear off. Meanwhile, just to pit on up, it's Rajah Caruth, tires, fuel, and air pressure. He was saying he was a little free over the tunnel turn. He was neutral in turn 1, and he was good in turn 3, so he doesn't need many adjustments in there. So, of course, Rajah Caruth just trying to maintain that comfort, getting back into the race.
Now remember, they learned from the first time the hard way that you have to beat the pace car out or you will go a lap down, as a few cars got stuck last time. As work continues on the 18, and you heard him say they needed to be a little bit tighter, so they're going to tighten the car up with those adjustments. But a little mixed bag here. Some didn't make any adjustments, some made just air pressure, and then the 18 made a little bit bigger swing.
I think the key is the 17, as we talked about, Trevor, the 17 of Taylor Gray. We knew he had enough fuel because he had topped off when he got the free pass 2 cautions ago. He stays on the racetrack, so he will be our leader when we get ready to restart this race. The bad news is he doesn't have quite as fresh tires as these guys that came down pit road and put tires on, but that clean air is pretty important.
Huge for him. We saw that earlier when he lost the lead on a restart. He went from checking out, leading the race, to falling back to 5th or 6th place. So how fast things change here.
We've just talked about the roller coaster day that Taylor Gray has had. He's now led 27 laps, and that makes him our Sprecher lap leader of the race. And now he's looking to win for the 3rd time on the season.
Right behind him is the 02 of Chris Wright. He also stayed on the racetrack. He pitted on lap 48 around the same time that Taylor Gray did. So we know both these guys have enough fuel to get to the end of the race. There's Chris Wright. The Reese is on board for him. Right there, that's Tyler Young's 02 car.
And Phil, you mentioned the tire wear. The good news for these guys is they've mostly been under caution. You know, it does heat cycle the tires a little bit, lose a little grip, but to me, most of these caution laps have equalized everything, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to guarantee you, but I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the end of caution laps so far.
Well, racing daylight as we are, I don't know how many cautions that the ARCA officials will allow us to have here, because we know we saw that earlier this year when we had a caution late in the race and we had a time limit because of a race after us. They actually ran that race short of the scheduled distance. So I'm sure the ARCA officials are keeping an eye out. And it's probably darker on the racetrack than what we see right here on TV, too.
When you have that dark color asphalt, it gets tough to see it. It kind of makes it difficult to see where the lines are, all those things. So I did run the Cup race here when it fogged out one time. I've not been darkened out of a race any time recently, but I have been fogged out at Pocono before.
Yeah, the cameras have a way of making things look a little bit brighter than it really is.
And if I'm Taylor Gray right now, I'm thinking it's too dark to race.
The way that you see it is, look at the pace car lights. You see the headlights. If you can see those brightly and they start projecting out, you know it's dark there. I mean, earlier if those lights had been on, we wouldn't have even known that they were on. So it does make a difference here as it starts to set some clouds over the sun. So I don't know, guys. I think this one could end up a little short.
Without a doubt. You see sunset 8:29.
Hint, hint. We're just trying to remind you. About 15 minutes from sun
We
setting.
haven't mentioned it. The sun is setting.
Well, I'm curious to see what Taylor Gray can do with this. They've had their ups and downs, but they have found their way through strategy to be leading this race once again.
Still 14 cars on the lead lap.
One to go this time. See back there in fourth, Tony Breidinger. Didn't talk much about her today. She's kind of been watching, learning, and with that great save.
David Gillen there watching his 17 car in the lead. I bet this is going to be one of the wildest restarts we've seen all day. They know that this track position right here could decide the race if it goes green, so I don't expect anything less than to see 3 or 4 wide going into turn 1 right here.
I like Taylor Gray's decision to take the outside with who he has behind him.
For sure.
But we have Jesse Love, too, and we know how aggressive he has been, and he's right behind the 0-2 of Chris Wright. So there's zero doubt in my mind that Jesse Love is gonna pull to the inside of the 0-2 of Chris Wright.
Some of the most amazing restarts here. Reminds me of Fontana. Very similar. They just fan out so wide going into turn 1. So much more racing action coming up this weekend, and that's why we're racing tonight. We have all 3 national series for NASCAR as well as us, so there you go. Plenty more action to see Sunday. Fox Race Day for the Cup Series and for Truck Series, of course, coming up race day 11:30 a.m. Eastern.
And Jamie, that's going to be on Fox.
Big Fox.
Big Fox.
Check out those headlights shining on the racetrack, y'all.
Taylor Gray said it's dark. It's too dark to race now. Let's stop it right now.
Your perspective changes when you're a broadcaster.
It does.
Or if you're the leader of the race.
Yes. No, it's fine. I see everything just fine out here.
That's if you're running 5th.
Yep.
You see everything just
Second,
fine.
5th.
Yeah.
Warming up those tires as they move them side to side. Chris Wright in the 0-2. Daniel Dye's on board. He had an engine issue earlier. He's still in the race, shown 9th.
This is going to be a crazy restart here, I believe. Going to be 25 to go when we get to the line, Jamie.
Tighten those belts.
See the 20 sitting back.
One more time. Side by side they go. Taylor Gray with a great start once again.
See Jesse Love, as soon as he got the start-finish line, pulls out around the 0-2. Look at him, 5 wide.
Nick Sanchez with a big move from the outside to the inside. Taylor Gray shut the door. Woo.
Raja Caruth going around Chris Wright. Right there, the blue and white car is Chris Wright. There's Brandon Jones on the outside of Jesse Love.
Jesse Love, so impressive on the inside. He had just found something at the start of this race that worked. Brandon Jones there on the outside, that blue and white number 81.
Brandon Jones did a great job using the side draft to pull that 20 of Jesse Love back, even with him, and then beat him through the tunnel turn.
Nick Sanchez was like a rocket there, but the door shut. The 17, Taylor Gray, maintains that lead as Nick Sanchez behind him. We've got
left
problems.
rear tire.
Left rear tire down on the 18 of Sammy Smith. He tries to save it from going around.
He's going to be able to get to pit road, but he's going to more than likely take him completely out of contention.
staying green here. They know that sunset's coming. There for a second, I wasn't sure if he was trying to save it or spin it out to get the caution, but he got it to pit road. Let's see what happens here with the 18.
It's already down. It looks like. Gets down in the tunnel turn, gets in there pretty hard.
They just put that tire on. You have to think a lug nut or something maybe knocked the valve stem out after the pit stop. We see that from time to time on a brand new wheel.
ARCA officials will allow him to change that tire. Obviously, if it's flat or wheel damage, they will allow you to change it. Otherwise, there was no tire changing under green, but obviously that was going to be approved by ARCA.
The leaders are coming here. He's going to barely beat him off pit road, but he won't have the momentum, I don't think, to stay on the lead lap here.
He's trying, but look at the 180 miles an hour plus for Taylor Gray as he gets down into turn 1.
A good day comes to an end here for Sammy Smith as he rejoins the race a lap down. Let's take a look back at the restart and see if you guys see anything. The black car, the number 18, think he had a rub?
Right. Well, he got rubbed.
He got rubbed.
Or rubbed whoever was going 5 wide below him. Doesn't take much.
Tough break, though, for Sammy Smith.
Kate, what are they saying in Taylor Gray's pit?
They were telling him that he is way better in 3 and just keep dirtying Nick Sanchez up. And as Taylor Gray came around the corner there, he was saying, I can't see anything. It's dark as heck in here.
I knew it would be. I knew it would
Pitch
be dark
black
for Taylor Gray.
Pitch black for the leader. Somehow Nick Sanchez sees just fine.
So often at Pocono, you hear the leader saying, it's pouring in here. It's pouring. End the race now. And everybody else is like, what are you talking about? It's just fine out here.
That clean air has made all the difference in the world for that 17 car. Now that he's back out front, he's got his DGR4 just pulling away. And Sanchez has been the fastest car all day. I'm surprised to see that the 17's able to hold that lead with older tires. And we see the battle for third here with Brandon Jones and Jesse Love.
I've been surprised that we haven't seen Brandon Jones up there leading yet. I mean, he had 2 starts this season, won in both. I expected him maybe to be the car to beat today.
He struggled a little bit in that test session yesterday. They made a lot of changes for today. I think they made it better for that practice session that we had earlier, but I don't think that car is exactly right because we know Brandon Jones knows how to get it done, and Jesse Love's going to try to grab that 3rd spot.
And I'm sure it wasn't too far off of what Sammy Smith had for a car. We heard Mark McFarland saying how loose he was and he needed to be tightened up. And the way that Brandon's been running the higher line down in 1 and 2, or turn 1, I should say, at Pocono, not 1 and 2. He's running the top even of the tunnel turn. You've got to think that's more of a line that you would run when you are loose. You get up in the grip compound, and that helps tighten the car up some.
Raja Karuk just got around Jesse Love, coming on strong right now in the 4th position. Josh?
Yeah, and you guys were talking about Brandon Jones. Well, the one thing he told me before the race started, he just didn't have the speed he had in his other 2 wins of the ARCA series so far this season. So he knew it was going to be a battle because he's been strong, but just didn't have that in the test session. So they're a little better in practice, but not the norm. And then he's been battling tight in a loose car all race long. So he knew it was going to be a battle, but still running in the top 3 right now.
Well, to your point, Phil, he just hasn't had exactly what he needed.
You saw Jesse Love try to make the pass through the tunnel turn. Brandon Jones kept him pinched down low, lost his momentum, lost that spot to Raja Karuth.
Raja Karuth still looking for his first career win, but he's just been consistent this year. So consistent in his first full-time season. Comes in as the points leader, shown right now with a 3-point advantage over his teammate Nick Sanchez as he goes side by side with Brandon Jones for that 3rd spot.
That was some pretty aggressive side drafting there, and he did a great job getting Brandon loose off the corner. He got down, got that left front headlight out, pushed air on Brandon's left rear and got him loose, and that carried momentum all the way down the straightaway. He's pretty aggressive with the side draft, and I'm, again, surprised that Brandon Jones is able to hold him off from the top. But that's something he's probably done on iRacing 100 times. You pull up on their doors so close to pull them back.
But again, Brandon Jones, that defensive line is working out for him okay.
And I think it shows that traction compound has a little bit of grip up there. But look how the 6 of Raja gained through the tunnel turn that time. Ooh, trouble right behind the leaders.
Somebody's wrecking.
Ooh,
oh,
Jesse
the 20
Love.
Jesse Love goes around. Parts and pieces falling off that Venturini car.
Taylor Gray is like, oh, it's so dark. I did not need that caution.
Yeah. Taylor Gray said, no way we should restart this race. Jesse Love gets it refired.
He's got a left front tire down there as he's rolling in. I don't know if that happened before or after he slid, but
I saw the smoke right behind the battle we were watching with Brandon Jones and Raja Caruth.
Jesse Love, one of those drivers making their big track debut. Big learning curve for these drivers. Riding on board with him as he makes it down pit lane. Jesse led 8 laps today. As he brings it down pit road, Taylor Gray continues to lead with Nick Sanchez and Brandon Jones.
it was an odd place to spin out off the tunnel turn to me. If that left front tire was up, you know, you have to wonder if you clipped the curb, got loose, how you do that off the tunnel.
Caution out for the 6th time today.
Or maybe another car involved, possibly.
They were strong today. They won this race last year with Corey Hine behind the wheel.
Because the right side of our screen there, you see the 18 of Sammy Smith. That was very close. Obviously, we can't guesstimate whether there was any contact or not, but looks like the pan came out from under that. To get a good view, we might. Oh, what? Not sure if there was contact that caused that or what, Trevor. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, to spin out on the straightaway like that, going straight, you'd almost have to think he got turned, but I don't know.
You see the 17 of Taylor Gray. What a great day it has been for him, and they've had their issues, but they were able to stay in there and fight. Taylor Gray has led 37 laps today as they continue around under caution.
And he's hoping that this is sun setting right now.
And we're told now the checkered flag will fall. This will end it. That caution flag will turn to the checkers, and there it is. The 17-year-old from Denver, North Carolina, wins it. For the 3rd time this season, Taylor Gray is your winner at Pocono.
Chad Johnston is thinking that blessing in disguise from earlier. The penalty that set him back a lap allowed them to come down, top off on fuel when nobody else did, and put them in this position to win the race.
That penalty ultimately led to them winning this race. Now, they may have won the race anyway.
They did have good speed earlier in the race, led a lot of laps, most of the first stage, but man, what a recovery.
A DGR team so buttoned up. I mean, we said it at Mid-Ohio, whether it's the ARCA Menards series, the truck series, they win. They build great cars, great trucks, and they did it again today.
Remember, we talk about getting track position, staying out. Everybody came to pit road. Everybody had an opportunity, like the 17 of Taylor Gray, to stay on the racetrack, and they all came to pit road. And Taylor Gray stayed on the racetrack, and he goes to victory lane.
Well, Chad Johnston, his crew chief, was pretty bummed last time we heard from him. I assume his emotions have changed, Kate?
His emotions, I'm sure, have changed. Are you guys going to go buy a lottery ticket? That was a pretty good comeback and turnaround after a little bit of an incident.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely wasn't easy. Definitely not as smooth as you would wanted it to go. But we've had speed since we've gotten here. This first time here for Taylor. I've been here quite a few times, so we've been able to win every place that I've been before. So this keeps that streak alive. So we'll we'll take it any way we can get them, and we'll try to build momentum and go to IRP. I'm pretty excited about going there, so we'll enjoy this while we can and get back to work on Monday.
What was the defining moment today?
Well, I think just being able to stay out there at the end, knowing that the low light was coming. You know, we were in a better position on fuel. It's kind of a risk on tires, but tires haven't really fell off a lot for us. So, you know, we had to get track position back, and I don't think we could have passed 10 cars in that amount of time. So we just needed to stay out and hope for the best.
Yeah, you guys were all praying over here that it would be called. Congratulations. Jamie?
Very happy crew chief, very happy driver.
You can hear the experience in Chad Johnston's sentence there. Enjoy this for a couple days and back to work on Monday and go get another one.
No downtime, that's for sure. Always doing a little bit different burnout than we saw 2 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio.
And not bad.
Seems like the young drivers really know how to do the burnout.
Well, they're not worried about that rev limiter that he's hitting. That's the difference. They haven't been yelled at by the motor guys yet.
Number one, that's right. Third career win in his 29th start. 3 wins is more than any other driver in the field. Not bad for a part-timer.
To be 17 winning at a 2.5-mile racetrack is kind of unheard of. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunity to do that. As we mentioned earlier, one of the few tracks you can do this. Taylor Gray's got his first win at a NASCAR, what we're calling on the ARCA schedule, Super Speedway.
Happy fans there taking pictures of their race winner. And he's climbed from the car as he takes off his helmet. Our Josh Sims is there.
Yeah, Taylor Gray celebrating what didn't look like was going to be a victory, and somehow he's able to come back and get it done. You lead 38 laps. You guys have that issue on pit road. You go a lap down, and then here we are. You're the race winner. How did you get it done?
Gosh, man, all props to Chad Johnston. All props to Chad Johnston making a good call coming down. We lost a lap taking fuel, and then sorry, I got caught up in the chant up there. But then came back down and took more fuel and able to stay out there when everybody else pitted, I think with 50-something to go or whatever it may be. And heck of a call by Chad being able to make it on fuel. And man, I'm pretty speechless right now. Whenever we went a lap down, I definitely didn't think we were going to end up here, but. There's no quitting us at EGR, and I can't thank all my guys enough.
Third win of the season. What is working for you this season that you've been able to click like this?
Yeah, I mean, just having everybody around me and just having a great group of guys around me. I feel like I got a dream team around me right now, and we're just clicking really well together, and just got to keep moving. 2 in a row.
Congratulations.
A dream team around him, I would say so. Job well done by that young man. We come back to Pocono. We will wrap things up. We'll hear from our second place finisher, Nick Sanchez. Welcome back to Pocono. How about this burnout by the 17-year-old Taylor Gray. Great celebration. Acknowledges the fans. He wants to hear it. All under a gorgeous sunset. Of course, it's almost dark there right now. Ended a little bit short. But in the end, Taylor Gray goes to victory lane. And you'll see our General Tire delivers 200 race results.
Jamie, we talked at the top of the show about the 3-man battle for the point championship. All 3 of those in the top 5.
And Kate is with the man who finished second.
Finished second for the 3rd time this season. Wasn't the closer today, but you did just tell me that you actually had the dominant car. So what did Taylor Gray have on you?
Yeah, right there. We just pitted, kind of covered ourselves on tires, and restarted I think 4th and got to 2nd. Just kind of ran out of laps. I don't know what lap we ended on, whether it be 60, 65, but I think if it would have went the distance, our car would have came in, and we would have gotten them. But it's one of those races. Good points day, clean car, and I think this is the first time I had the fastest car on an oval, so that's promising as a team.
Good takeaway. And he mentioned points. Let's go to Josh Sims now, who's with the real points leader, Raja Caruth.
Yeah, and Raja able to hold on to the points lead, finish fourth in this race, but you were pretty disappointed after this one. Can you let me know why?
Yeah, I mean, our Max Eagle Chevy was the fastest thing on the racetrack. It's just we had to come down the second time to put fuel in it. I don't understand how every other car can do it except for us. Something every week, but we'll go to IRP and do really good there.
Raja, still your points leader. Guys?
Little frustration there for Raja Caruth, who brings it home fourth and maintains that points lead. But check this out. The Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Some nominees here. There's Raja Caruth in the 6th, going around the 55.
How about the 2 of Nick Sanchez on the outside, making it 3 wide. Jesse Love on the inside. Looks like Nick Sanchez. Let's see if he can grab this lead here. Around the outside, Jesse Love's going to hold on to it.
And this is the one that we said was our favorite. Not all the wrecking.
Not
Watch
that
the number 25. That white car goes hard right toward the wall. Tony Breidinger keeps the car clean, avoids all of the chaos. She brought it home 11th. Remember to vote starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Vote for today's sweet move of the race. It's the ARCA Menards Twitter page at ARCA_racing. Even though the frustration, he'll be happy when he gets home and looks up and sees that he is the points leader, although he's closed the gap. Nick Sanchez has closed that gap a little bit.
Yeah, again, another race where now we're halfway through the season. We're still within 9 points of each other. So again, this battle's going to go down to the end of the season. Obviously, Raja Caruth is not happy. He feels like they could have done better, and that's what they're going to discuss. And at the end of the day, he's going to say, I had a chance at this race, and that got away from me, and I'll never get this chance to get this race again.
That's exactly right. And the hardest ones are when you know you have the fastest car or one of the fastest cars, and it gets away from you because you don't get those every weekend. But I had a blast watching this race with you all again. It's fun to be watching the ARCA series, so thanks for having me back this weekend.
So good to have you, Trevor Bain, and your work's not done.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Hey,
let's do it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
You guys do it tomorrow as you see the ARCA Menards series. Phil mentioned we're officially at the halfway point. This is the race is still to come. In yellow on FS1, you'll find us. Next weekend is our next race from Lucas Oil Raceway Park, my hometown.
What a great venue, too. Man, oh, man.
Trucks will be there. ARCA Menards series action starts at 6 Eastern. And that's coming up tomorrow. Race day, 11:30 Eastern, and the Truck Series race at noon. Last race of the regular season could be a big day for Zane Smith as he looks to wrap up the regular season championship. Well, it's been fun. We appreciate all of you watching us. For Phil Parsons, Trevor Bain, Kate Osborne, Josh Sims, and everyone at Fox Sports, I'm Jamie Little. It's been a great evening. Thank you for spending it with us. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you tomorrow and then again on Sunday. So long from Pocono.